Hey everyone, this is Michael Cole, VP of Marketing at Everflow. Today I'm joined by Tammy Porter. Tammy, do you mind giving a quick introduction for yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, Michael. Thanks for having me. My name is Tammy Porter. I'm the VP of Partnership Marketing, B2B Partnership Marketing at Acceleration Partners.
Awesome. And what does your role look like there?
So I am newly hired. I've been with the company just for a few months, and I'm building out a B2B arm for the company now. We've had some organic growth in B2B, and so there's been a sort of a concerted effort to build it out a little bit more aggressively and understanding the opportunity in the B2B space. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, I definitely think that's going to be one of the most exciting things. We keep seeing more and more agencies and brands that are really starting to embrace the affiliate plus partner side of this world. So this first, I feel like we're in the early days of people that are starting to know how to do it right. So I'm sure
Absolutely.
it'll be exciting times for you.
Absolutely. I'm excited.
Cool. And how did you get involved with the industry in the first place?
Oh gosh, so going back about almost 2 decades now, I was working in event planning and in Hollywood, celebrity event planner, and doing movie premieres and such. I was very much involved in experiential marketing, and had a really big passion for that. I had a life change where I moved out of LA County and into Ventura County, and landed with some college friends working for a digital company, and something that I had never really considered before. But at the time, it was called Value Click, and they were the owners of Commission Junction. They had recently acquired a Commission Junction. And so it was, just really happenstance. I kind of fell into it and fell in love with the whole ecosystem, and have, never looked back. I started from there. I went into affiliate network, and then, continued on from there. So it's been, almost 20 years in the affiliate space.
Yeah, those early days were crazy. Just, I feel like there was a constant flow of people that worked at CJ and then left CJ because they had a side project that suddenly was making way more money
More
than
money.
their job. Yeah, I feel like it's got to be weird in the ecosystem where you keep seeing teammates dropping out and finding out that they have a secret side business that's gigantic. All those early
Absolutely.
coupon websites and like media buyers and everything. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And it was funny, back then, trying to balance between whether you could also be an affiliate working in the space, or whether that was a conflict of interest, and, whether the side hustle was a thing that we should pursue or not. And so it was really interesting waters back then, but it's great to see the evolution and how much people have grown, from those early days of dabbling.
And the maturity to not have that keep happening, because it is healthy to a degree, and then it is no longer healthy.
Right.
So what led you to join Acceleration Partners?
So I was working client side for the past 5 years. I was working at GoDaddy, and I really I loved the opportunity, and I enjoyed working there very much, but I really missed having my hands in a whole bunch of things, and really being on the agency and network side, and really being able to touch a lot of different programs and the evolution of the different verticals and all of that. And so when the time came for me to look for something else, I was looking for an opportunity that was more agency focused. And so Acceleration Partners had this opportunity for B2B, and that's where my subject matter expertise is. And so it perfectly aligned, and here I am.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome too. I do think that the field you're in right now is going to scale so quickly, and be able to touch many different customers, businesses is going to be way more exciting than a single one where you can only move so many pieces at a time.
Exactly. And a single vertical web hosting is, it's not terribly exciting, right? It doesn't, there's no like, radical shifts within that space and that market. And so it's everything, the incrementality is very slow. And so, I'm a person that really thrives on variety and creativity. And so, it's really personally more fulfilling for me to be agency side for sure.
That's awesome. And what is one goal you want to achieve for this year?
Honestly, I am excited to get back out and like meet people in person and reestablish a face-to-face network. I think that's one of the things that I've struggled with, as have, the rest of the world over the past couple of years. But, especially as I'm embarking on this new journey and just really getting my network active, and, being able to see people face-to-face and get back into conferences live and all of that. And I have a travel passion. So that certainly is one of my personal goals as well, is just to travel more.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting and awesome times. I just went to GDC in San Francisco, and I mean, I'm based around there, so it was just crazy to see people that I have not seen for like 3 or 4 years, even though they were just a skip over the bay.
Right.
It's
It's like a
surreal to see,
lifetime
like,
away.
it's all like a lot of people now. It's kind of meeting them again. It feels nostalgic, which is a really weird experience where a couple of years ago it was just like, oh, I always see them at like events and stuff, and now it's like, oh, I remember you from the before times.
Totally, totally. And we took that frequency for granted because we would just be in each other's space all the time and, constantly crossing paths. And then from that to the drought of like never ever encountering a human. So it's been interesting.
But it does make this phase is a super delight. Everyone's so excited to see each other again.
Right.
Cool. So we'll hop into like some of the more long form questions. So first off, before you officially joined AP, did you have any best practices in mind that you wanted to make sure that you were going to implement there?
So coming from client side, I had an opportunity to work with a number of agencies during that time. And what I realized, and what it became very clear, is that the agency business requires a level of intimacy and really understanding of people's brands, and I didn't always receive that, right? And so having that client side experience and really getting to see like what that feels like and looks like to not have someone really truly be invested in your brand was something that I struggled with, because having my prior life where I was on the more agency and network side, that was our bread and butter was really understanding brands and how to make them work, how they tick, what their true objectives are. And so again, stark contrast, I really missed that on the client side. And so that was one of the things that I hold really tightly in my personal ethos and going into this role, just really understanding the clients that I'm working with and being an extension of the marketing team, and really trying to understand from beginning to end what it is that they're trying to accomplish, what their pain points are, that sort of thing, and rather than just doing cookie cutter assumptions about one size fits all sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's the hardest part with choosing an agency, is that they know so much, but so many times like it stops there. They don't try and learn your business as they go along, and that's essential, because every single business you're going to find out what works, what doesn't, and you have to keep iterating on being engaged and having those like conversations, etc. So
Exactly.
definitely is what makes a great agency versus an agency that is not exciting.
Right.
Cool. And so you were involved with managing one of the largest sort of like companies known for affiliate programs, like the GoDaddy, like the web hosting side of that and everything. These are some of like the foundational affiliate programs that were always like the big players. Always, I remember back in the day in CJ, they were always the top paying affiliate programs, etc. What were some of the challenges for handling such a a big company's programs?
Sure. And I think that's it's always interesting to recognize that GoDaddy is like the number one CJ advertiser year over year, right? It hasn't changed in quite a long time. It is a huge program. To full transparency, I managed a number of the sub brands in GoDaddy, so I wasn't working on GoDaddy proper. Most of the time, I did obviously have a relationship with the teams that did manage, and had some dealings with them. But I was responsible for a number of the premium hosting brand, Media Temple, their web security brand, and a couple of other international hosting brands over a period of time. So I was there about 5 years and had a varying degree of interaction with those other brands. But I think the main challenge for scaling a brand that's already that large is really finding new opportunity, doing anything different. You sort of have a plug and repeat sort of system set up, and you've kind of, you've exhausted all of the obvious affiliates, and, people know who you are. And so it's not hard to get a relationship started with affiliates, because everybody wants to work with GoDaddy, right? Everybody, it's a household brand. They notoriously pay well, performance is high, conversion rates are good, so it's most of your traditional roadblocks don't exist for activating affiliates. The challenge is finding new affiliates and where that incrementality comes from to be able to scale a program that, has a history like that.
Do you have any sort of tactics or tips that you figured out during that time there of ways to sort of discover new veins of potential affiliate partnerships that may have been overlooked or misunderstood?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges, honestly, is just thinking outside the box and understanding who an affiliate can be, right? And so you have your obvious mass media publishers, review sites, people that know the affiliate space, and they're going to be first in line at these existing programs, CJ or Impact or wherever you're signed up, right? And so those are really obvious, but there's a whole nother layer of content providers, subject matter expertise, thought leaders that are really speaking to the audience that you're trying to get in front of, but they may not be thinking of it as a revenue model for themselves, right? And so being able to seek out those opportunities, understand those relationships, what those look like, and being able to pitch an affiliate relationship with those people is critical. And I think, some of our biggest wins came from those partnerships that weren't really obvious.
And in those situations, did it tend to be starting with cold email? Was it meeting a conference? Like how did you start building that relationship and get the idea of working on a performance basis going?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's, we don't have a lot of opportunity to just kind of plug into people. We're talking about cold emailing, reaching out on social media, trying to, interact with them where they exist. And so that's, I think that's probably the most effective tactic. And people, affiliates, especially these type of like creator types, that are really the thought leaders in doing content creation, they're people at the end of the day. And so being able to make that one-on-one relationship happen and really trying to avoid the mass sales pitch and looking like you're trying to get something out of them, but really, establishing a relationship so you can prove your worth to them, I think has been the most successful for me.
Awesome. I'm just going to keep going down this tangent. So you mentioned creators. I do think that is going to be something super interesting with new up and coming B2B affiliate programs. I mean, the rise of LinkedIn is a very powerful social network and people that have a ton of influence, a ton of following there. Have you looked into sort of what opportunities are there for sort of the affiliate side to sort of leverage these now very influential LinkedIn personalities?
Absolutely. And that's really one of my core focus at the moment, because that organic growth is there, right? That creator culture and like all the people that are establishing themselves in the space and, various verticals and people that are the sort of like the gurus of how to, and, all of these like video platforms and, especially LinkedIn and other social media. Understanding that those people exist and that their motivations are aligned with so many brands and, and being able to really just plug into those and tap into them. I think it's interesting to see the investment that's gone in from specifically like LinkedIn and their, creator mode and like how much investment they're putting into both the technology side and, fueling teams to really drive that creator business and, like really encourage people to be thought leaders and to do this like sort of brand engagement where it hasn't ever existed before. And so, influencer marketing is obviously on the rise, but I think most people don't attribute that to a B2B opportunity. Like they're thinking you're going to be selling makeup on social media and, on your TikTok or something. Right. But the relevance of audience in those like real small thought leader groups and people that are really subject matter experts, like if you can get in front of, even if it's 100 people or 1,000 people, if they're really high intent, then, kudos for you and, how great for your brand to be able to be associated with that like perfect audience. Right. I think in the past, we've always assumed like, what's your Alexa ranking? How many millions of followers do you have? Like, what's your reach? And assuming that, exponential number somehow increase someone's value. And, it's certainly shifting, especially as we're talking about B2B and this new kind of arena of creator and what that looks like from, influencers, thought leaders, how-to gurus, et cetera.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the most exciting things about B2B too, is just you don't need very many conversions to be very happy. When your lifetime value is more like $25,000, if you can get a single conversion from a very niche partner, that's a pretty great win.
Exactly. And I think that that's one of the most exciting things about my role now, and really, stepping into this sort of, growth phase of B2B is, helping brands to understand that, and, helping the affiliate space has always kind of been this, coupon code mass media like kind of environment, and really trying to help people understand that the cost model is what's important. It's not exactly, it's not that, again, that reach or whatever. It's really the cost model that's important. So being able to get brands to understand that performance marketing angle is the way to go, and that you can align yourself with a number of different types of partners, from referrals and ambassadors and influencers, et cetera, that don't require you to have these humongous media budgets, and it really can be just as beneficial.
Yeah, and I think it's the other thing with tight attribution and everything else. If you can tell that if you receive 200 users and 10 leads, and 5 of those leads are becoming customers, you can be very, very generous with your payouts.
Absolutely.
But it does require that ability to have like the analytics and reporting to make sure, okay, either I'm going to pay way more upfront if I say don't have the ability to do that through the platform, but I have the good data points behind. I can be very generous up front, and then just make sure that I'm being very careful about fraud. Or the other side is that if you have it tied to your CRM, then you're paying sort of a good amount up front, but then you have like a huge win at the end when they become customers, and it's a guaranteed revenue opportunity.
Exactly.
There's a lot of exciting stuff there that'll.
There really is. And I think one of the most important pieces of that, and the exciting thing, is that the technology is catching up, and, like the affiliate platforms are understanding that tying into the CRM has value, and, really being able to follow a full sales funnel, and, commission at certain junctions along that funnel. And, before it was a lot of guesswork, and, you didn't have the opportunity there. Maybe you could batch in some leads, or, batch in conversions or whatever manually, but being able to have that fully automated through your CRM, and really helping to tie sales and marketing closer together is like priceless.
Yeah, I think the other thing we were talking a little bit before, but sort of getting customers to understand that maybe we all know that affiliate is like one of the most cost-effective channels, and really having some of that money building towards a war chest to do some of these additional channels. Because I was just thinking that, especially for B2B, I mean, for me, podcasts are how I buy half the things. I don't buy that much stuff, but when I do, it tends to be from a podcast.
Right.
The podcast, the Substacks of the world, like having budget to sort of build these relationships and then backing it out to performance is going to be a really exciting opportunity as well. And there's so many more levers now for driving B2B performance than there was even 5 or 10 years ago.
Absolutely. And I think that, what we're learning, and, which is, it's natural in the state of the world with the pandemic, but, the B2B buyer is so much more similar to the B2C consumer these days. Right. And so being able to go into that buying journey much more effectively as a brand, and really understanding that, like, that consumer journey is way different than it ever was before. And the technology is there to support that. And if you can just be at the right place at the right time, like, our job as B2B marketers is so much more simple.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm a huge fan of Gong.io's marketing. I think that they're one of the sort of like textbook cases of like what great B2B marketing looks like. And now they fixed their branding so it looks very polished, but the prior version always kind of looked janky. But it didn't matter because it was super fun, bright colors, and just really great like copywriting, etc. It's always like inspiration of like, that's just such pure marketing that led to just like an insane growth engine.
Right. Absolutely. And I think, the ability to shift our brains from like that sort of sterile B2B to that more experiential, like fun, emotional connection kind of, brand marketing that is much more popular in the B2C side. There's so much more opportunity in B2B now.
Yeah, that's a great point. Cool. So what were some of the sort of major issues that popped up during your years at GoDaddy that you sort of fixed or improved, and now it's going to be a running part of your game plan for any new customers or clients?
So I have a specific war story going into, I started out as a consultant working for GoDaddy and really was evaluating their initial, their Media Temple affiliate program before I, was hired on and then became the director of marketing for the brand that I was consulting specifically on affiliate. And so what I walked into was a poorly set up program that, the technology and the integration with the network, all of that was not quite right. And so there was bleeding tons of funds, there was fraud, there was a bunch of just chaos within the channel and within the program itself. And so I learned a lot in that. And I think that a lot of brands just make assumptions around being able to just, plug into an affiliate network and it's all set up and, it's really obvious and you just go. But really thinking about that UX, where does the pixel sit? What is the actual objective of the program? Has your credit card been charged at that time? Is it really something you can pay out on? Do you need another validation step? Really thinking through all of that technology / UX and getting that right so that your program can be scaled and effective, right?
Yeah, it's super important. And Stephen, I see your question. We'll get to that in a second. The one thing I want to mention that too is that it's so important to have your everything aligned properly and everything tracking properly. So I used to manage the eFax affiliate program back in the day, and this was the very first wave of call tracking. And we would go manually through each of the calls to see the quality. And what we realized is we were paying $20 for a call of a certain thing, and it would just be someone who would basically press one and then just sit there, and they'd ask them questions. And they'd be like, I don't know, I just saw a Craigslist ad for this, and they told me if I did this, I would get $5. And it's just
no.
There was say maybe 40 or 50% in this first wave of testing, where it's literally all just junk calls. People will figure out exploits if there is issues with your tracking, if there's
Absolutely.
issues with your payment. And I mean, those are the rare cases, but those are the things where building the proper guardrails makes such a huge difference for making it successful.
Absolutely. And just, not making an assumption just because someone told you that it's set up that a lead is a lead, what does that actually mean? And a lot of times, I just mentioned tying sales and marketing closer together. A lot of times those teams work significantly in silos, right? And so you're passing a lead off to sales and never checking on that lead quality, never hearing any feedback. And so then sales is complaining that marketing's not doing a good job. They're not getting what they need. Marketing feels like they're doing a good job because the leads are coming in, we're paying it out, and so being able to really get those two departments synced more closely and really validating your data and understanding what you're paying out and that you have similar objectives across the teams.
Yeah, the improvements of CRM to make this all easy to see the different stages is cannot be under appreciated.
Exactly.
Cool. So we had a question from Steven. He said, we are an HR technology software trying to kick off an affiliate program. We're using an agency to help with recruiting and using Everflow for tracking. What advice do you have for me as a B2B tech brand for coordinating these efforts in the initial phases?
Yeah, I think sort of what we were just talking about is and making sure that you're setting up your program appropriately from the technology integration, depending on what ad network you're working with or affiliate program you're working with, making sure that aligns with your objectives and that you are really understanding, are you looking for a lead? Are you looking for a sale? At what point are you commissioning and, where's the incremental value to you within this channel, right? And then from that point is really establishing who your target audience is and where do those people live and eat and breathe and what affiliates can get in front of those and establishing those relationships and of course commissioning in a way that excites those affiliates to work with you. But there's a couple of layers to really setting up a new program, and most importantly is getting that foundation laid out for you.
Yeah, just to build off of that too, I'd say always do competitive research. So see for any competitors that have affiliate programs, what are they paying out? Because if your payout significantly lower than a competitor, you're probably not going to get any traction at all. The weird thing or interesting thing about affiliates is that if they're successful with a vertical, which means they're successful like promoting your competitors, they're also probably an amazing affiliate for you, and they want to work with you as long as you're giving a comparable rate or higher rate. It's definitely not a sort of one takes all thing. Usually everyone in the vertical wins when an affiliate starts seeing success in it, because it's much easier for them to scale the next client, drive more traffic to that, and get them excited. So that would be one. And then the other thing that I'd say for any B2B company is just really go beyond just affiliates and sort of leverage the other relationships you have. Like, the great thing is, if you can, I mean, since you're using Everflow, you definitely can. You can easily onboard your strategic partners, your referral relationships, and having those partners running through the system as well. Like, that adds a ton of value right away. And a referral partner really, just like all affiliates and all partnerships, they need to have that transparency of the feedback loop of being able to log in, seeing that they made, say, $10,000. That's the thing that lets them keep promoting, to know that they're all set up, that they're doing the right things, and that everything's working.
Totally agree. I think reinforcing the fact that it's not just traditional affiliate, right? It's all of these partner relationships, again, from referral to ambassador to influencer to whomever, people that are going to be shouting your brand from the rooftops. And of course, they're willing to do that if they're compensated on the back end for, that work. And so that, I think that's really critical.
Yep. So just make sure your payout is always aligned and competitive, where people get excited about it, which is knowing your margins, knowing how much you can offer, and just making sure that you're doing a lot to evaluate the quality of the traffic you're getting, because the more you understand the exact quality of a user coming in, the more you can pay out and the more exciting your program is. And that's the easy way to beat established competitors, because if you're paying twice as much because you know way more about the quality of the user coming in, you're going to have affiliates send more traffic to you. Oh, nice. He also said that he was at LogMeIn and worked with acceleration partners in the past, and he loved working with your team.
Thanks, Stephen. LogMeIn is one of my favorite brands. That's awesome. Thanks.
Cool. So let's see. For us, we kind of covered this one. Let's see. So for launching a new program, what do you? I mean, we kind of covered this, but just to sort of like reiterate, what are the three most, when you're launching a new B2B affiliate program, what are the three most important places to sort of like make sure that you are nailing for a program to be successful?
Sure. So I think first and foremost, and I think I mentioned this, but it's really understand your own personal objectives. What is it the business needs out of this, right? I think a lot of brands approach affiliate marketing with it could be this or it could be that, and the objectives are shifting. And so you're never going to hit a target that you don't identify. And so being able to really say, like, at the end of the day, I want leads coming into my sales team. That's what I need. Or I forget about the leads. Those are a given. I have to have the sales closing at the end, like really understand what your objectives are as, in the channel, and setting up your program appropriately. So one of the things we're talking about is, commissioning throughout the funnel and figuring out where you're actually compensating people. If you're compensating people at the front end for the lead and not for the sale at the back end, don't be surprised if you don't get a lot of sales at the back end, because you're incentivizing the behavior that you're asking for here, right? And so make sure that you're setting up your program appropriately, first and foremost. Second is really around UX. And I can't say this enough, but a lot of people just throw up a website and they just, if you build it, they will come. It will just naturally turn into sales. And, they don't realize that the more clicks you have in an encounter with a consumer, the further you are from that conversion point. And so being able to establish what that UX journey looks like, how quickly you can get from point A to that sale, and condensing that as much as possible from a technological standpoint, right? And like, if that means building out specific affiliate pages that are just condensed data that, like just present your offer and gives a quick CTA right there on the page. You don't want people to get lost in the shuffle of your whole entire website and, get taken away from that experience, that if if the sale is what you're looking for at the end of the day. Keep in mind that affiliates are promoting on your behalf. And so they're not really in the space to do brand exercises for you. They're looking for that commission, and that's only based on that activity that, that we've established. And so getting them to that conversion point quickly is imperative. And then third, I think, is again, technology, and really making sure that you have the right ad platform and ad network in place, that your pixel technology is set up correctly, that you're integrated with your CRM, depending on exactly what your objectives are, making sure that you really are that you're set up for success from the beginning. You often only get one, maybe two chances with an affiliate. If you've gotten their attention, you've gotten them to commit to working with you on your program, and then there's some kind of blunder where now they're not being able to, their leads are not being tracked, or their conversions are not tracked, or their commissions are missing, or it's difficult for them to work with you because of some technological integration problem. You may not get them back, right? And there's a lot of competition for affiliates out in the space, and depending on the vertical, for sure. And so making sure that you have all of that stuff established up front, so that you can, it's a low barrier to entry for your affiliates. They see immediate success, scalability is there. And I think that that's really the meat and potatoes of getting a program off the ground, is getting those things aligned.
You can just do the mic drop now. Manage to consolidate like 20 lessons into a very succinct piece. Very, very well put. Cool. So let's see. So for existing programs that they've reached sort of a plateau and everything, and now they might be managed by acceleration partners, what are you looking at inside of their programs that you think that is the best places to sort of fix or improve that will start driving much faster, better results?
I think one of the most important things for us is really looking at, especially on the B2B side, is looking at that like UX and that, conversion rate optimization, like really understanding, are there any roadblocks in there? Are there extra steps that are unnecessary? If you can eliminate those pain points and get, that UX a little bit more fluid, then your conversion rate, even a fraction of a percentage of an increase in conversion rate can, net thousands, millions of dollars, depending on, what kind of product you're selling. And so I think that's one of the biggest pieces, as I'm coming in and looking at new programs that have already been existing within the acceleration partners, book of business. And, I had nothing to do with bringing them on, but being able to step in and say, hey, you could do this better. If you were able to, drive to a different page, if you were able to shorten that, point from point A to point Z, where you're actually getting people's information, getting the lead for the sale, and making sure that that's, as optimized as possible. The other thing is revisiting the commission rates and, understanding whether people are paying out appropriately. One of the things that I think a lot of people do is they look around and they say, oh, well, competitor A is paying this much, competitor B is paying this much. And so we're in line with that. And so we've done our work. But there is a lot more math that can go into that really is evaluating your LTV. What is it worth to you? Is it, if you can pay 2x what your competitor is paying because the LTV is there and you have the right partner in place, then by all means do that. The scalability is incremental with the payout often. And so like being able to really evaluate those payouts and understand whether they're aligned and competitive and if it works for your business model or not.
Awesome. To go back to the conversion rate, I hear you. I understand that conversion rate is improvement. I know from the agency side that getting customers and clients to actually improve their landing pages is sometimes like pulling teeth. What would you wish that every customer would sort of like know or put more resources to that would really sort of like help you be successful?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest pain points. And most businesses don't allocate tech resources to marketing in, a big enough way, especially if they silo off the affiliate channel, then that just kind of sits and you get the remnants of whatever, marketing technology landing pages you have. And it just is what it is. And so if I could wish for any brand, it's to recognize the value of custom landing pages, co-branding with specific partners and influencers and such, and really figuring out what that UX and sales funnel looks like, and shortening that. There's a lot to be said for a really great website that promotes a brand and has, a ton of information you can click around. But, anybody that's ever looked at Google Analytics understands that, you get a fraction of time from people. You get a couple of page views before people are exiting your page. And you don't want to waste that very, impactful time, especially if you haven't paid for the traffic from an affiliate standpoint. And so understanding that these people aren't doing you favors, they're not paying for, or you're not paying for the traffic on the front end, but there's an expectation that you're going to make it worth people's time to promote you on your behalf, because the back end payment's going to be worth it, right? And so I think just really helping brands to understand that and to get the tech resources and the prioritization of like marketing materials, landing pages and such, and even custom creative, being able to put new banner sizes, or helping whatever affiliate has a unique need, being able to prioritize those assets as part of your deliverables for that relationship. And just a lot of brands don't have the bandwidth, unfortunately.
They don't have the bandwidth, sort of. I think that's always been one of the frustrating things on the affiliate management side. It's just every single brand any brand that is doing a really good job at demand gen has a landing page that's being optimized constantly for paid media. And they do that because paid media is so expensive that
right.
Every single conversion thing is so important for justifying the ROI. It's always the challenge is that because affiliate is like naturally very cost effective, it feels like they don't need to put as much focus into it because no matter what, they're making money.
Right.
But it's sort of the opposite. The more you get of those cost effective sales, the more revenue you have for everything else you're doing or for scaling. So putting as much doing sort of the back end of like how much revenue are we driving based on cost from affiliate versus how much revenue we're getting for versus cost for paid media. I think if you looked at it that way, you would realize that putting another $10,000 or $100,000 into building out resources for the affiliate channel would pay way more dividends than another slight tweak to the paid media pages.
Absolutely. And I think that, brands just are, and this is happening, I think, organically to a certain extent, but I think, the affiliate channel, the partnership channels are getting more attention, getting more respect. This is happening. It's always been sort of the stepchild and, something that just kind of happens on the side, if it happens at all. Mm-hmm. And I think that, especially brands that are really active and paying attention are starting to realize the value of affiliate and partnership relationships. And so I think the respect is kind of accumulating, and hopefully we'll see a shift where the prioritization is there from a resource perspective.
Yeah. And just to sort of illustrate what you were saying earlier, can you walk through what for like one of the major types of like affiliates, what would be like an ideal funnel for them? If say this is in your top 5 highest performing affiliates, maybe they produce content or something, like what would be the flow of sort of like ways to get more value with them?
So especially when you're talking about like content producers, right? And people that they're already talking about your vertical. They're already talking about your subject matter. They may even be into the tech spec and, really talking about the ins and outs, features, et cetera. You don't need to waste time with web pages that then reiterate your whole value proposition from point A to point Z. You can quickly jump from, assuming that content has already been provided and the stage has been set for you, you can quickly jump into a conversion page, ask for your lead gen at that point, whatever. I'm not saying, don't do any branding or don't provide any spec, but you don't need 5 pages of, selling at that point, because presumably the affiliate has already done a lot of that pre-work for you. So you can shorten that window and go right into your CTA.
Awesome. And let's see, if you could double the amount of affiliates from any one category, what category would that be and why? So
I think that it actually is sort of organically happening, as we mentioned earlier in the call, but it is more of that thought leader, content creator, influencer type, those people are sort of elevating themselves. I think the challenge is really being able to forge those relationships quickly and, really establish yourselves. So I think that is really what we're what I am hoping for is to shorten that relationship window, and being able to establish especially for specific brands that have really niche kinds of content needs, being able to get in front of those affiliates and spin them up quickly and activate really quickly. That's something that is on my wish list. I think they're there. It's not a matter of creating them, it's a matter of establishing the relationships and getting things going.
And have you sort of seen anything that's sort of like started that getting the relationship going quicker, or any sort of advice there of how to think about how if you see on LinkedIn that someone's like producing a ton of content about, say, web hosting, what is the way to sort of go from like seeing it on LinkedIn to trying to build that relationship into ongoing affiliate partnership?
I think it really is about, recognizing that those are humans on the other end, and trying to establish a relationship and being where they are, right? Put your marketing hat on. How are we like converting another customer in the market? Like, how are we attacking a target audience in any other way, right? Like this is just the target. It's just a sales opportunity. You don't want to just pitch something, blanket to them and hope that they buy in. You want to establish a relationship with them, respect the work that they're doing, interact with them on social media, be where they are, and, look at the value that they're putting out there as human beings, and establish a one-on-one relationship with them, with your team and them, or et cetera.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I mean, the great thing with B2B is it's very easy to build like strategic alignment. We do this a lot with our like strategic partnerships on the tech partnership side, where we'll sort of identify who is a good fit for both sides, make the warm introductions, etc. It's the same kind of thing where even with influencers, they need to produce. So I'll take this a little bit back. So one of the books that I consider to be one of the best things that I've ever read was Trust Me, I'm Lying by Ryan Holiday, which is all about PR. It was about PR sort of in the blog phase, and just the idea was bloggers and news sites, they always need to produce more content. That's their job. And that content has to drive as many views as possible in order for that writer to sort of hit their goals and to make the publication happy. So it's also the same with influencers. They need to produce content week in, week out. So if you're sort of like sharing like insights with them in like consolidated, easy to understand form, that they can sort of take this point, and then they can start talking about it. And it's natural while talking to it that they can also promote your brand. Like that's a win-win situation.
Absolutely. I think that one of the big distinctions in B2B versus B2C affiliate marketing is the need to arm your affiliates with that information, right? To do the sales enablement, to do the training, to get the product immersion, so that stuff does come naturally to them. You're adding the talking points, you're adding the content, so that it's plug and play for them. If you're expecting content creators to just magically create without you participating, you're going to be sorely mistaken, right? Like you really need to, as a brand, be willing to invest your own resources, add to that content creation piece in order to get that the success that you're looking for.
Yep. And I mean, that's also the great thing about B2B is you don't need that many sales for it to be worth all of the time and effort. You can devote way more resources to these very slow to nurture relationships, because any sales they drive, the value is 1,000 times higher than a single e-commerce sale. So you can devote the resources to it. It's really just going to be the challenge of the entire industry to figure out how to devote more resources to like what's working, and to make sure that you're empowering your team and everyone else to sort of make these partnerships more successful.
Exactly. And I think one thing people assume, mistakenly, is that it has to be some sort of really, high lift net new resource or net new content that you're creating. You probably have sales enablement material for your sales team. You have internal marketing documents and tech documents that you could repurpose for the affiliate's benefit, right? And it just is a matter of repackaging, condensing, sort of, just triggering it a little bit so that it makes more sense for the practical use of your affiliates. But it doesn't take a lot, but you do have to make that effort and make sure that it's readily available to your affiliates when they're ready to promote for you.
Definitely. So we had a question from Ty. He asks, what would be your advice for an entry-level marketing professional looking to get into the B2B lane?
Oh gosh. So the entry-level marketing is quite broad. I think if you're really interested in affiliate marketing in particular, then working with a network, working with an agency that really is managing affiliate programs, and to get into a program like Acceleration Partners has a wonderful like cohort program where we bring in people that it's their first job, and we're training them up from what is affiliate all the way up to how to successfully manage programs and grow programs. I think overall marketing, there's a lot of different ways that you could go about it, but I think really find out what your passion is and where you want to be involved. If you're really interested in the advertising aspect of it and like the data side, or creative, and really whether you want to represent brands and do interesting things from a creative perspective, and be involved in the concept creation of campaigns and things like that, and making sure that you're fueling your own passion, because that's only going to make you happier and more successful in your career.
Yep. The other thing I'll add on to that is, if you want to get into doing B2B marketing, sort of the age-old shortcut to doing this is become your own content, become an influencer and content producer yourself. And the easiest content to produce is just to digest other people's like hard work and effort, and sort of be like, okay, from this podcast, here's sort of the lessons I learned from it. From this book, here's the lessons I learned from it. So sort of being a consolidation of other people's work, so that people can sort of see a condensed, like, here's a tip, here's a tip, here's a tip from proven experts. You're learning it, and you're also proving that you have the ability to sort of digest this and turn it into actionable insights. That's very appealing to anyone who wants to hire for those types of roles. Absolutely. So I hope that's helpful. Ty? Let's see. So starting to get to the end of the time. So where do you see the future of the B2B affiliate space heading? Growing exponentially and in quick pace. I think we sort of touched on this earlier, but the lines are so blurred now between what a B2B buyer looks like and a B2C consumer, right? And so in a previous life, you would have sent a direct mail piece to someone's office. You would have called them on their landline where their desk phone would have rang. You would have targeted their IP address at work so that you're making sure that you're getting ads in front of them. Those were very specific B2B tactics because you were talking to a person at work. People are at work 24/7 now. People are engaged in social media while they're working. Actually, a lot of people's like companies support, going onto LinkedIn, sharing content, all of that stuff. So the lines are so blurred between what represents personal time and work time. And so being able to understand that B2B buyer is so different now, and infusing ourselves into that journey at all stages and all places. And it's like I said earlier, it's, it doesn't have to be as sterile and, straight lined and focused as B2B once was. And so being able to be a little bit more integrative, creative, and being, a little bit more personal in the brand, approach. I think that sort of, as we talked about, like affiliates kind of always been this like dirty word and stepchild to a certain extent in, the space, and, marketing has proven that affiliate is a viable channel, and it continues to grow exponentially year over year. And, it represents a huge part of a lot of marketing budgets within businesses. And, there's tons of proof points there. And so people are
adopting that knowledge and, really trying to figure out how to make it work for themselves. And so I just I see the considerable growth for B2B and affiliate marketing in particular, because the other thing is media costs are so much more expensive. It's harder to get, like the budgets upfronts and things like that from your marketing department and, the allocations that are available. So if you can only pay on performance, if you could only pay when something is proven, which that's what the affiliate cost model really is, the true benefit of it. And so I think much more businesses are going to be adopting affiliate marketing, and there's exponential growth there.
Definitely. And I just wanted to go back to one of the things you were saying, that the B2B buyer is now very similar to the B2C consumer. And I think that just sort of why that would be is most likely because you can now just sign a quick contract online, get a service as a software where you get it right away. There doesn't need to be 20 decision makers involved. There's no long setup process of, say, setting up servers. So I think that is part of the reason is it can be a single decision maker who's signing a contract for 10 or 20 or 50,000, depending on these products. And that completely changes things. All you have to do is get someone who believes in you, who's so much of a champion that they sell it internally. And that means that all of these content and influencers are so much more powerful, because those are the ones that get you excited, that mean that you're going to go to your CEO and be like, hey, we need budget for this product because this is going to change how we manage our business.
Exactly. And I think, we know from various studies and data that most B2B buyers have already made up their minds before they ever interact with your lead form or, start talking to a salesperson. We're talking about, 75, 80% of the people already know whether they're going to buy or not, because they've had 10 or more interactions with your brand prior. Where did those interactions come from? A lot of them are coming from these content interactions, these, social network and influencer kind of interactions. And if you're really focusing on those content opportunities, influencer opportunities, and really building those up, the more likely you are to get someone that's informed, and in those 10 touch points and willing to buy. And like you said, they're going to advocate for you within their organization. And, becomes more of a one-click purchase kind of commitment.
Awesome. This was so many insights. Thank you so much for sharing this. If people want to learn more about you and Acceleration Partners, how can they learn about both of those and anything else you would like to shout out?
Sure. So Acceleration Partners, you can go to our website at accelerationpartners.com. I am at tporter@accelerationpartners.com if you need to reach out to me directly. I'm also on LinkedIn at Tammy M. Porter, all one word. I'm just very excited about the future of the business. I'm excited to be in this seat at Acceleration Partners and being able to work on something that is so, fast moving and has so much promise. And so I'm eager to get back out there and really start networking and doing the things that, that the world is now allowing. And so I look forward to meeting up with people at conferences, and I recommend anyone reach out if you have any questions, or especially if you want to work with, partnership marketing agencies such as Acceleration Partners. We have a lot to offer.
Yeah, definitely. The next couple of years are going to be insane. We're still in the early days of what this can be. And so all the pieces are in place. I mean, there's so many times where there wasn't that many levers you could move. You were basically only working on certain websites, but now it's opened up to so many extra channels of really valuable partnerships, the kind that brands salivate for. So I think it'll be really exciting times.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you again, Tammy. And I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week.
Wonderful. Thanks, Michael. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.